Good Thursday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Welcome to the I Love CVille Show, the first day of October, the start of the fourth quarter in 2020. It's a great day to be alive. Thank you kindly for joining us. 5 states now watching the I Love CVille Show. Thank you very much for connecting with us. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. We have a lot to cover, including Charlottesville City Hall hiring a third-party search firm to target another city manager. Why do we do this at Charlottesville City Hall? We'll have that question for you. How about the downtown mall over the holidays? What can we expect? Will we see the trick-or-treating like we've grown accustomed to? Will we see animals dressed up in costume? How about the lighting of the Christmas tree? How about sharing the holidays with loved ones on the heartbeat of this community, the downtown mall? What can we expect? We'll talk about that on the I Love CVille Show. Dairy Market announces yet another food and beverage merchant. This one, Wilson Richey, River Hawkins, Mike Stewart. You know them from 10-Course Hospitality, from the Whiskey Jar, the Bebedero, Revolutionary Soup, Kama, the Japanese restaurant, and the Violent Crown movie theater. The Milkman's Bar coming to Dairy Market. We'll analyze the impact of Dairy Market. We'll talk about the addition of the Milkman's Bar and what we can expect from what's going to be the hotspot turn calendar year, end of 2020, beginning of 2021, for foodies and cocktail and beer lovers alike. That story coming up on the I Love CVille Show. The scuttlebutt, the hearsay, the rumor mill, the chitta-chatta, is the $1,200 stimulus checks are on the near horizon. Republicans and Democrats alike working to try to get another round of stimulus money into bank accounts of Americans from California to Virginia, from Alaska to Texas. That topic on the I Love CVille Show. We'll announce a new segment and a new piece of content at about 12:55, so in about 19 minutes on the show. I think it's going to very much positively impact Charlottesville and Central Virginia. I won't spill the beans. I'll let Crystal Napier give that announcement on the program. Aaron Watson, friend of this program, photographer extraordinaire, businessman and entrepreneur. He's going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll spotlight the beloved wedding industry. We will talk about how he's added real estate photography to his full service, just robust offerings of services that he's providing for the marketplace. We'll talk about a wide receiver for the University of Virginia in 6'7" Lavelle Davis Jr. That is a matchup nightmare. Add this first-year wide receiver to a 6'7" tight end UVA transfer, a guy who came into the program a transfer. And you can see why a southpaw quarterback in Armstrong has got some weapons at his disposal. We'll talk about the value and the matchup nightmare that it is Lavelle Davis Jr. on the show. The Titans and Steelers matchup has now been pushed back to even further. Yesterday, the National Football League said due to COVID outbreak within the Tennessee practice facility and the Tennessee Titans organization, the matchup against the Steelers was going to be pushed back from Sunday to potentially Monday or Tuesday. Now the NFL saying it's going to be pushed even deeper into the season. All those stories and more coming up on the program. Carol Thorpe, thank you for liking the show. Barbara Lundgren, thank you for sharing the show. Sean, we appreciate you sharing the show as well. If you could do me a favor and hammer the like button now, better yet, tag a friend in the comment section or share this content to your Facebook page so we can spread the love that is the I Love CVille Show. We work hard putting this together. The only thing we ask in return is a like and a share from you, the viewer, the listener. So Judah Wickhauer is our director. Judah, why don't we start with the story from the Charlottesville Daily Progress and one Nolan Stout about City Hall essentially hiring a third party, a search firm, to help them find a new city manager. I'm going to relay the nitty-gritty and the details. Neil Williamson, thank you for liking the show, my friend. So we're looking for another city manager. Dr. Richardson lasted 16 months in City Hall as the CEO of this fine community. Depending on who you talk to, whether it's Richardson's side, Richardson says, look, I could not coexist with Mayor Walker or Councilor Heather Hill. If it's council side, they have their own side, their own story. If it's the folks inside City Hall, they have a story that's somewhere in the middle between Richardson's take and council's take. This we know, 16 months in, the relationship just didn't work out. Now Richardson's getting paid a hell of a lot of money to just walk, leave. He's going to receive a lump sum severance of over $200,000, equivalent to 1 year's salary, and he's going to have city health insurance for another year on top of that. He will be paid for vacation time and unused PTO. Richardson making well on this piecing out, if you may. Who is not making out well is me, it's you, it's the taxpayers. Who is not making out well is the councilors who undoubtedly have egg on their face for this botched hire. 2 were actively involved in this hire, and Mayor Walker and Councilor Hill. So the accountability must, without question, rest on those 2 ladies' shoulders. They were actively involved in this hire. Now, I'm left scratching my head on the I Love CVille Network and sitting in this chair of why we are going to pay tens of thousands of dollars to an independent search firm to try to attract an out-of-city city manager. So let me understand something, boys and girls. Charlottesville, Virginia, as we know, is nuanced. It has its history, both positive and negative. Charlottesville is in a transitionary period. Charlottesville is being leveraged by the Biden campaign. You heard it in the debate earlier this week of how Joe Biden referenced the terroristic attacks in our fine city. So we have a brand that is Charlottesville that undoubtedly has a national stigma, and a lot of it not a strong national stigma. Yes, there's the best place to live in America that still resonates online, but if you were to do, and I'm going to do it right now, just do a Google search for Charlottesville, Virginia, hit enter, and see what you find. It's some stuff that we want to distance ourselves from. A lot of the August 12th stuff we want to distance ourselves from. Now, I'm going to wrap a bow on the city manager search, and I'm going to say this. We're in a budget deficit where we are well behind the amount of money we need to run the municipality at the clip and level we're accustomed to running. So instead of 5 city councilors being creative and looking within the community for a city manager, being creative and looking within the community for someone who's got experience politically, someone who has experience from a nonprofit standpoint, from a private business standpoint, instead, 5 city councilors are choosing to spend more of taxpayer dollars to hire an outside Charlottesville search firm, and this outside Charlottesville search firm is going to take tens of thousands of our dollars, and they're going to try to drum up a candidate from somewhere in America to be the chief executive officer of the city of Charlottesville. Well, from my standpoint, I say, did we not already do this with Dr. Richardson? We paid a search firm, and the search firm that found Dr. Richardson was a search firm from Tallahassee, Florida. And we paid this Tallahassee, Florida search firm about 24 months ago $25,000. And we said, give us a short list of city managers or potential city managers that may be a good fit for this fine community. The search firm, one of the members on this short list, was a guy from Texas. Texas. Yes, Texas. So in Tallahassee, Florida search firm, went to Texas and brought us a chief executive officer for Charlottesville, Virginia. The city manager from Texas, he previously had the city manager position at his municipality in Texas. The city manager moves his family, quits his city manager job, and comes to CVille. This is what I know. We have a Tallahassee search firm that doesn't know Charlottesville, and a Tallahassee search firm shoulder tapped a gentleman in Texas who did not know Charlottesville. And long story short, the guy took the job, was offered the job by council, and 16 months later, the relationship imploded. It's very much like, I have a buddy, and I'm not going to say his name. His daughter in high school. And COVID-19, a lot of online dating is happening. Happy hours, Zoom happy hours, dates over Zoom, dates over Skype, meeting on social media, chitter-chatting, sending photos, always filtered, always looking perfect because of this social media world we live in where everything's filtered. And having a conversation or a relationship with somebody through this or through this, when you see them in ways that are not waking up next to someone in the bed at 7 in the morning after your kid hasn't slept and you've had to go into a room 3 or 4 different times to try to get him to go to bed, okay? This is not real life. Hiring a third-party search firm from Tallahassee, Florida, to get a man and his family from Texas to take over a job in Charlottesville on the other side of the country, that's like dating somebody through Facebook or Instagram or Match.com or Tinder or Bumble or Skype or Zoom. Eventually, what happens is the filters are forgotten. Eventually, what happens is the good behavior that you showcase behind a keyboard to try to impress or woo someone through social media or through a computer or phone screen, eventually you have to get face-to-face. And then eventually, the nuances, the troubling history, the dysfunction within the department starts rearing its head. And at that point, I would much rather have a chief executive officer of the city of Charlottesville, arguably one of the most important positions, if not the most important position in this fine city. I would much rather have this man or woman in this city manager spot, someone who knows what's happening in Charlottesville. If you brought someone within the community and made them the CEO of the city, you would not have the cost of a third-party search firm. And frankly speaking, you would be coming in at a yearly payment, a yearly salary that is lower than that of recruiting a city manager from another municipality, paying his or her moving costs, relocation costs, and all the travel stipends needed. This, yet again, can't see the forest through the trees type of decision-making from local government that just accrues taxpayer debt, and they continue to go back to the well and say, give us more of your money so we can try to run this city. We need to raise taxes so we can try to run the city. It's not a smaller, medium-sized business mindset. Give the show a like and a share. Cristela, it was nice to meet you today. Thank you for stopping by the studio, and thank you for sharing the post. If you disagree with me, I'm cool with it. Just put it in the stream. Let me know why you think taxpayer dollars should be spent, tens of thousands of dollars, on a hiring firm from outside Charlottesville, Virginia, to find a city manager candidate from outside Charlottesville, Virginia, who would then be expected to understand the nuances, the trials, and the tribulations of this fair city. Because I don't see any logical reasoning behind this approach. Now, I'm going to go to the next topic. If you want to head back to the first one, share the comments, and I will get to the ones that are coming in, I promise you. What can we expect now that we're in the fourth quarter? It's October 1, it's the start of Q4. What can we expect from the holidays that are upcoming here in our community? You have a big one in October. You have what used to be hundreds, maybe a couple thousand people hit the downtown mall as their pets were dressed in costume and they went from the pavilion to the Omni trick-or-treating with the merchants on the mall providing candy to the kids, the animals, and the parents as they walked by. What can we expect for Thanksgiving? What can we expect for the lights that are put up and down the downtown mall and along West Main Street right around Black Friday? What can we expect for the lighting of the tree ceremony on the downtown mall? I'm hearing nothing. You're hearing nothing. I'd like to have some transparency and some stronger communication coming from City Hall. Stanton and its downtown association has already acknowledged that a lot of these events will be canceled, but they will try to, there's the word, pivot some of the events to a safe and social distance format. For example, instead of the trick-or-treating in downtown Stanton, where puppies and parents and kids go from merchant to merchant to merchant with candy, a scavenger hunt will be held instead. The Downtown Association of Stanton has said, we will try to socially and safely distance events in downtown Stanton for the holidays. The reason I bring this up today on the I Love CVille show is because, one, it's the start of the fourth quarter. Two, Halloween is 30 days away, and that trick-or-treating event with the puppies and the animals and the pets and the kids and the parents did fantastic work for driving business to a downtown corridor that is becoming very quickly ghost town-esque. So my friends, our followers, our viewers, our listeners of this fair and fine program, I encourage you to ask questions. I encourage you to get civically, socially engaged. Reach out to our supervisors and counselors and say, what are we doing for fun, family activities in downtown Charlottesville, across the city of CVille, and in Albemarle County? Because I see a group of people, I see an organization, I see a gaggle of small and medium-sized business owners coming together. And I see it at Ix Park and at Ix Art Park. Ix Park and Ludwig Kutner and Brian Weimer and Susan Kreschel, they are now having a Saturday morning in-person city market. So while the city of Charlottesville is flapping or flailing with a drive-by city market at Dardentow Park, or is it at Charlottesville High School now on an asphalt parking lot? I think it's at Charlottesville High School now. It was at Dardentow. The city's Saturday farmers market, you can't even get out of the car. You have to go to Charlottesville High School in your vehicle, and you're trying to do a drive-by while sitting in your vehicle farmers market. Well, that's the antithesis of a city market. And the folks at Ix Art Park and at Ix Park said, you know what? We're just going to host an unofficial farmers market on Saturdays. We're going to do it on the grassy knoll and the grassy hills and in the art park at Ix. We're going to have people safely social distancing and wearing masks. And you know what else? We'll even allow you to bring your dog and provide you bathrooms and shade. And now the unofficial city market at Ix has become essentially the city market for Charlottesville, because the city could not innovate, pivot, or show an entrepreneurial mindset to save what's been an institution for so long. I'll take it a step further. The folks at Ix, Brian and Ludwig and Susan, they've launched a Thursday night market. And the Thursday night market has food trucks, ice cream trucks, merchants and vendors. And it's done under the twinkling stars and under the glow of the moon at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And this Thursday night event is radiating positive energy, a palpable buzz. I've said it many times on the show, and I'll say it again. It's time we get leadership like the leadership we're seeing at Ix. And I'm not saying those are the folks that should be leaders of the community. I'm saying they're showing a small and medium-sized business mindset by saying, we'll do an unofficial Saturday market that's safe and socially distanced. Oh, we had a proof of performance with that. It was successful. Let's roll out the same concept on Thursday evening. That's called innovation and creativity. And those are the mindsets, those are the ways of thinking that are needed to survive a pandemic. Not fear, stay in your car, go to a high school asphalt parking lot, and do a city market while in a vehicle. No. Not spend tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money on a third-party search firm from outside Central Virginia to try to attract a city manager from a different municipality when he or she may or not know anything about CVille at all. No. That's not innovation. That's doing things the same old, tired way. And did we not learn something from Dr. Richardson's tumultuous 16th month tenure? I certainly did. Put your comments in the comments section. Give me your perspective. Share it, give it a like, give it a share. We're going to announce a very special segment with Crystal Napier here in a matter of moments. Crystal, before we do, I got some news from Dairy Market. Dairy Market, Chris Henry, Jody Mills, the team over at Dairy Market and Dairy Central on Preston Avenue, they've announced a new tenant, the Milkman's Bar. If you could get that on screen for me, Judah Wickhauer. The Milkman's Bar, the brand and brainchild of Wilson Richey, of River Hawkins, of Mike Stewart. Wilson Richey, the prolific restaurateur behind the Whiskey Jar, Revolutionary Soup, the Wine Guild. Just a great guy. River Hawkins, one of the co-owners of the Bebedero. Mike Stewart, he launched the bar program at Kama, the Japanese restaurant in Violent Crown before it shut down. These three gentlemen, along with 10 Course Hospitality, Wilson Richey's company, are going to launch the Milkman's Bar in Dairy Market. And bing, bam, boom, Dairy Market has yet another kick. I was going to use a profanity there, but I'm not going to. Has another stellar brand in its foundation, in its deck of cards. Angelique's Kitchen, great food. Chim Street, Jay Pun and his family from Thai Noodle House and from Chim and 5th Street Station. Dino's. Dino's getting his pizza oven. Just got it delivered and installed. Move Through, Take It Away. Tom makes great sandwiches at Take It Away. Okay? And from a drink standpoint, how about a Star Hill Tap Room and the Milkman's Bar? Dairy Market and Dairy Central will incredibly impact the Charlottesville food and beverage scene. It will be the novel, the hip and cool spot to go. Just like we're seeing with the Wool Factory, that will be the case with Dairy Market and Dairy Central. Some of these places will open at the end of the year, most at the turn of the calendar, early 2021. This will add enhanced competition for food and beverage in an already saturated market. It will make the 10th Street corridor even more popular to live upon. The 10th Street corridor is about to face significant gentrification disruption. It's already going through it. If you go from Preston down 10th Street to West Main. You pass Peloton Station, Red Hub Food Co., the Mud House, Bowerbird Bake Shop. You remember those colorful houses at 10th Street that sprung out of nowhere? Well, the gentrification is now sprinkling and trickling into the side streets. 3-5 years from now, you're not even going to recognize this neighborhood anymore. And that's called gentrification. The positive of gentrification is enhanced tax revenue that can be utilized for a municipality to keep the municipality going in a positive direction. The downfall of gentrification is the character and history of an otherwise African-American neighborhood is going to be drastically changed in a few years. Mark it down. Mark it down. It's the same thing that happened to Belmont. It's the same thing that is happening to Woolen Mills. It's the same thing that's slowly happening to Fifeville, to King Street, and to the Cherry Avenue corridor. It's going to happen in the 10th Street neighborhood. For every positive, there's something else to consider. I'm going to reach out to Crystal Napier now, Judah Wickhauer. I'm excited to welcome her to the show and to announce a new segment that we have planned, a weekly segment, on the I Love CVille Network. I have Crystal on the line. Judah's given me the thumbs up to welcome you. Crystal, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jerry?
I'm doing very well. You look fantastic per usual. When is your second baby due?
My second baby?
Yeah.
I'm not pregnant.
No, are we having a second coming up?
No.
Okay, well, you're smarter than I am because we're going to go down, we're going down that road ourselves. Here's the question that I have for you. And we have this question coming in right now for you as well. Do you often always wear scarves with your outfit?
Just depends on the day, pretty much. I just like my scarves as a nice accessory, and I figured what better day to wear pink than the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month in full swing in October, and we got a big-time announcement that we're going to make on today's show. I will let you spill the beans here weekly on the program. We are super pumped about this. Crystal, give us the details.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate the opportunity. So every Wednesday at 12:55, I will be presenting a spotlight on not only my business, but other minority-owned businesses in the area. So if you have a minority-owned business or organization, I would be happy to spotlight it for you and just talk about the awesome businesses, small businesses in our area that are minority owned, bring that to the forefront and just show the backbone of our community and uplift each other up.
I'm so pumped for this. We're going to do it Wednesdays. I cannot think of a better person than Crystal for this. What is kind of the game plan? And I know this is a work in progress. What is your game plan and your vision for this weekly segment?
My vision is that people will actually just reach out to me and let me know what's going on with their businesses and let me know the positive impact that their business brings to our community. And I'm excited to, I have a power couple lined up next week, very similar to your next guest, Aaron Watson, him and Lisa Watson, they're friends of ours. It's going to be Scott Photography will be spotlighted next week, and Robert Scott and his wife Naireen Scott, who is a Mary Kay consultant, they are a power team that provide photography as well as makeup artists, and she also provides skincare. So I will talk a little bit more about that couple that are, making a positive impact on our community. And Robert Scott is actually on the board with me at Piedmont Housing Alliance.
Well, that's awesome. I'm pumped for that. I saw you, and maybe you shared this, and help me understand. Was it the Charlottesville Minority Business Alliance? I think you shared recently on your Facebook page. I saw Freddie Jackson on there as well. Huge fan of Freddie Jackson. Do we feel, and you can go any direction you want here, do we feel that entrepreneurship small and medium-sized business resources are accessible and available for not just entrepreneurs, but certainly, entrepreneurs, from a minority background? Do we feel like we need to improve upon that, or do we just feel like we just need to offer more insight and to let folks know what's actually happening? Maybe it's a lack of communication, or is it a lack of resources?
Well, what I was a part of this week, to answer your first question, was the Minority Business Expo, which was hosted by the City of Charlottesville Economic Development Center. And I would have to give kudos to the City of Charlottesville Economic Development Center because I really see a lot of, I don't even know if this is a word, but I'm going to throw it out there, intentionality with being intentional with promoting and assisting minority businesses in the area. They have a lot of wonderful programs, especially if you are a startup business, and they collaborate with CIC very well in the community to try to start up more minority businesses. And I feel that we have to be intentional. I think that they are a good example for other counties and cities to look at being a little bit more intentional. I do know a little bit about the Waynesboro area. I know that they have did a lot of different things in place when they were trying to promote that downtown Waynesboro area, and they were being intentional with seeking out minority-owned businesses. So I just feel like it's an area that is starting to be tapped in a little bit more because, minority businesses, especially Black-owned businesses, are in the spotlight right now. And we see that area of where we need to be supported. We need resources. I know for Black-owned businesses, we are less likely to be funded with whether loans. A lot of our funds are personal funds to start up our businesses. So those resources have historically been limited to us. So I'm pretty excited to be a part of your platform that you are allowing me to be intentional and spotlight some minority-owned businesses that in hopes that we can all work together and take down these barriers of small businesses just because you might look different than someone else. So I'm excited to promote minority-owned businesses that probably may not have been spotlighted, or folks might not even know about them, or they're just starting up. So hit me up if you would like to be spotlighted on Wednesdays at 12:55.
I love it. That was a great take. Holly Lee, watching you now. Love Holly Lee. I know you respect what she's doing as well. You have one city councilor watching you on the show. So Wednesdays at 12:55. Crystal is going to lead this. She has absolute autonomy. If you want to get a spotlight for your business, she's the person to contact. I have a feeling this is going to explode in popularity here. And then she's going to have the issue. I don't have enough time here, and so many people are asking to spotlight their business. Let me ask about your journey as a successful businesswoman. Did you as an adolescent or when you were growing up, and I believe you grew up in Nelson County, if memory serves correctly. Yeah, Nelson County governor. So did you have mentors that you could look up to that were business women? And then the second part of the question is, do you feel compelled to now, because of your success as a businesswoman, do you now feel compelled to serve in a mentor role?
Oh, wow. So growing up, business mentor. So the irony is that both of my parents were both entrepreneurs. My mom ran a cleaning business, has ran a cleaning business all of her life. And my father actually owned a butcher shop in Lyndhurst, Virginia. So entrepreneurship, it's in my DNA. I totally didn't expect to be on this journey when I started out. But I did actually see them in the progress of being entrepreneurs. I would also say, there were local women that I grew up with in my community that were entrepreneurs. And now I feel like one entrepreneur is another family member. I have an aunt who has a very successful business in Richmond, and it's called Book It Now. And she's been very helpful and instrumental into helping me come up with different ideas to kind of shift my business. When you say, I'm a successful entrepreneur, I don't really see it like that. I see myself still in the struggle as a small business. But I do feel, even though this is totally out of my comfort zone to be in front of a camera like this all the time, I thought it was an awesome opportunity to uplift each other. And it's something that I consistently do on a normal basis of just referring other businesses. You've had some folks on the show that I'm connected with. So I'm already doing this in everyday life. So it's not that unusual to me. It's just that you are spotlighting me and putting a lot of eyes on me. But I'm very happy to showcase other businesses that I know that are working just as hard as I am to try to stay afloat in this environment.
Nice take. I see it as a way, and help me understand here. I see it, you're the daughter of entrepreneurs. I'm the son of entrepreneurs and business owners. I see it as one potential way, and there are many that we need to help to start crumbling down these systematic walls. And that is Robert Gray explained this extremely well to me, and he's of the Conscious Capitalist Group Foundation, the president of the nonprofit. He said we need to empower the next generation of the value of being a self-owned businessman or woman, entrepreneurs, because that is one way we can help create generational wealth and knock down these systematic walls that have oppressed people for so long. And when he explained that to me, I was like, you know what? That is brilliant, because a business can be passed down to the next generation. A son or daughter, like we grew up, can grow up in the family business, seeing what mom and dad are doing from a grinding standpoint, getting after it, working hard. That taught us work ethic. I mean, you're one of the hardest working people I know. I mean, that taught us work ethic, watching what our parents do here. It also showed the value of networking and human connection and getting to know people. I'm sure you saw that at your dad's butcher shop. I certainly saw it at my parents' business. I mean, what's your take here of like getting the next generation, the ones that are, say, college-aged and younger, with more of, we can own the company, as opposed to it just being a 9-to-5, we're clocking in and clocking out?
Well, I think part of it starts with us. And that's something that, it's funny that you bring it up, but that's something that I've been trying to focus on myself this year. Like, what is next level for Renee's Boutique? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about legacy. It's about, passing. It may not be Renee's Boutique, but allowing me to pass on something to my son, and for other generations to come. So how do you create that legacy? And so that's the part that I'm kind of grappling with, and making sure that my business, my brand, stays sustainable throughout not just my generation, but others to come. And I feel that if more of us focus on that instead of just the monetary situation that we might be doing today, or just looking out for today, and think to have a broader mindset to focus on legacy, I think the generations will automatically see that. And, it's do as I do as I do, not do as I say, because or do as I say, and do as I do. But the younger generations, they're watching us, and regardless of how much we talk about things, they are watching what we do, and that's just important. So I just feel like it's our responsibility to keep our hard work ethic in the forefront, and continue to think, brainstorm, and lift each other up in order to create legacy.
I love it. I love it. Holly Wheeler Allen giving you props. Getting love from Christelle. You're getting love from Grace. You're getting some props right now from Jennifer Monk, who's watching in downtown Charlottesville. Wednesdays at 12:55. Crystal, it's going to be her time to shine, and she will shine super bright. If you want your business spotlighted, reach out to her. I have a feeling a few weeks into this, and you're gonna have a Christmas list of people wanting to spotlight you. Anything else you want to get out, Crystal, before we let you go?
I am in the process of setting up for fall. I'm a little late on the game. Usually Renee's is a little ahead of the game with fall, but with COVID-19, things have been delayed. However, working on getting everything up on the website this week, and tomorrow is the last day for the Put Your Pants On and a 6th anniversary sale for Renee's Boutique. 50% off all of our pants. So head on over to reneesboutiquellc.com and check out that sale, because it's going to end tomorrow.
Okay, fantastic. We will see you in 6 days.
All right, see you soon. Thanks, Jared.
All right, you have a good one. She is awesome. She is awesome. I think the segment is going to crush it. It's going to be Crystal Napier's spotlight on minority agents of positive change, weekly on the I Love CVille Show. Jude, I'm reaching out to our friend Aaron Watson. We have him on the line. Aaron, my friend, good afternoon. How are you? Thanks for coming on the show. We love his basement studio with some of his fantastic work over his shoulder. One of the most talented photographers we know. All right, so much I want to get to with you on today's show. First, let's catch up with you and Aaron Watson Photography. We know this brand as the best of the best when it comes to wedding photography. We know the industry's been hit hard. Give us a take of how, from what you're seeing, what's going on.
Sure. So as far as the wedding side of things go, right now we are photographing weddings. It's not as many as maybe we would normally do, but we're still having weddings. We have an interesting situation this weekend coming up, actually, where there's so many different things affecting weddings. One of them is a lot of couples are in New York, that maybe they went to UVA or, had some connection to the area, and they come down here and have their, quote unquote, destination wedding. Well, with New York having kind of a quarantine, if you go to a certain state like Virginia and you come back, well, that's definitely affecting, the ability to have a wedding and have your guests come. They're not going to want to go back in quarantine, and you can't even, if you're working, like, that's also a factor. So this couple was supposed to get married in Charlottesville this weekend. In the last 2 weeks, they have completely planned a new wedding for Pennsylvania. Thankfully, I'm actually going to be able to go up to Pennsylvania, and I'll be photographing that wedding there in Philadelphia.
You're going to Pennsylvania for a wedding?
Yeah, I actually used to do destination weddings quite regularly, but this is going to be a fun short trip for me. But yeah, I'm going to be going to Pennsylvania tomorrow and photographing Saturday, coming back Sunday.
Dude, you are such a badass. I had no idea that's what you did. So, okay, I'm going to brag about this guy. I know his family and his wife and his intelligent son extremely well. This guy is like grinding of late. And his wife, Lisa, is also grinding as well. Pennsylvania, good night. Are you going to do more of the destination weddings with the travel restrictions? Because you're right. If my family's from New York, my wife's family's from New York, they would have to wait to come back into New York if they visited us.
Yeah. I mean, the very, very honest answer is no. We are not going to be. I did destination weddings a long time ago. Eric Kelly and I, we did a lot when we first started out. Eric and I went to Brazil. I've done Jamaica multiple times, Seattle, like all across the U.S. I've done weddings. But a destination wedding takes a certain commitment, and you have to be gone for a few days. And I won't have that luxury next year with the amount of weddings that we have. We have a lot of Friday. I only take up to 2 weddings a weekend, and I limit that to only 2 weekends per month that I'll do doubles.
And you're a dad and a husband.
Sorry?
And you're a dad and a husband.
That is, and I'm about to have not me. Lisa's about to have our second one in March. We will, we are definitely, talking about how all that looks, but work as hard as possible now, and that way we get to enjoy a little bit of time when the next little one comes, and then it'll be back to the races next year.
All right, so comments coming in. This from Christelle at CNO. And she says, "Hey, Aaron, congratulations to you and Lisa on the newest edition coming your way. Keep up the amazing work, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon."
Thank you.
This is a good question coming in, and it says, "Jerry, ask your guest what he thinks next year will look like for weddings."
Great question. I love this question because, you asked me in the spring, I think, what does this fall look like? I'm going to be completely wrong about whatever I guess it to be. So here's what I'll guess it to be, and I hope I'm completely wrong, but I don't think it's going to look too much different than what we are right now. So I have a couple right now looking to book a wedding, one of our last dates for June 5th. And I asked them this question, and I think this is a very important question to ask every couple looking to book a wedding. Would you proceed forward with your wedding, next spring, if everything was the same today? That should be kind of the determining factors. I think while we are hopeful that there will be a vaccine, obviously a lot of people watched the debate recently and different information. I think it's going to look very similar to what we see today for the time being. I think there's some good things about it. I think there's some, terrible things about it. But I think just for a while, guest counts are going to be lower, and that's not. I feel bad for our couples, but the people who are going to show up are the ones that feel comfortable, the ones that are going to be there to have fun and enjoy the wedding. And the weddings that we've been seeing and that we've been doing recently, while the guest counts are lower, the thing I've been shocked by, they look and feel much more like a regular wedding than I would have expected. With obviously, a lot of guests and most all guests have been very respectful. They show up in masks, and they've been doing things that are very sensible. So I feel like weddings have been great. The ones that have been going on, yes, lower guest counts, but for me, people have still been doing pictures. We want to see the smile. So I don't say anything about taking off a mask or anything like that. If people want to wear masks, sure, but if we want to see their smile, they want to show their smile, let's see those smiles. And I think everybody's been happy to show their smiles and have a good time.
Aaron Watson, our guest, you diversified and you have a number of different service verticals going on with your brand. You've added one this year that I think is awesome. Put some spotlight in some perspective into what you're doing for real estate. Yeah,
so this kind of goes back even further. So with the photography business, I started off in 2004, and it was, great because early on I got to try all different types of photography. And one of the cool things about wedding photography is you do just about every other style of photography there is. You have to be really diversified in your style and what you do, how you photograph. So probably back in like 2011 and then again in 2015, we've just continued to expand the business because we were known as weddings, then we became known as weddings and family, and then more recently we diversified into commercial. So for the last few years, we've been doing commercial because it's been hand in hand with some of our wedding venues and things like that. And this year with COVID and having the extra time, we got the chance to really expand again and add in more, residential real estate in addition to the commercial, and take what we do for interior designers, what we do for larger corporations. One of the clients that we had last year, a commercial client, is one of the biggest architects in the world. They developed multiple Olympic stadiums, huge Super Bowl stadiums, things like that. They brought us in to photograph the renovations to UVA men's basketball. So the attention to detail and things that we do for that and the type of equipment we have, we now are bringing into the residential real estate, and it's going to be myself. We'll have, in addition to myself, a few people that are able to help me out as well. So that way, if I'm busy with certain things, we still have photographers that are available to go and photograph, who are using the same great equipment, who have that same attention to detail, and can create the great service that we do for everybody for the residential real estate side of things.
Good take. Questions coming in for you. I'm going to relay. This is a good question. This is a challenging question. This is from Andrew Branch. Jerry, I enjoy watching your show. I agreed with your take about Charlottesville and it coming up in the debate earlier. Can you ask your guests if any of the brides or the folks that in the weddings that he's shooting, if they bring up Charlottesville and what the reputation is of our city outside of Charlottesville? That's a good question.
I've had... I think the thing is, the people who are even considering a wedding here, they know what Charlottesville's about. They've been here, they've lived here, or they just know how beautiful it is. So actually, that's never been in the conversation. Okay. Right after August 12th, I was up in Boston, and I was talking to my cab driver, and they asked me where I was from, and I said Charlottesville, and then all of a sudden the conversation just stopped. That was not fun. That was not what we want. It felt weird, and we want to have a better conversation. So I think the conversation is continually evolving. I think we're getting back to, that best, town mentality that we had before August 12th, all the awards and things that we had. I think we're getting back to that, but obviously it's a slow road, and there's a lot of news cycle, and the news cycle is going to continue to evolve and revolve. So as far as brides go, the people who are booking here, were we affected? Yes, I think we all, as vendors, saw a downturn in the weddings already before COVID happened. It's been like a bouncing ball. I think some years we have consistent amount of bookings, other years it's down, and I think we are seeing everything affecting, but I think that side of things is not going to affect us as much as COVID, and we're going to actually be more booked up for venues and everything for the next 2 to 3 years just because of supply and demand, which is just not as much supply as we have in the past. Great take right there. Here's a good question for you coming in from Valerie. Jerry, what are some of Aaron's favorite venues to shoot and why? I get that question all the time. All of them. Yeah. I'm not going to, I know some of them are watching. I'm not going to say exactly, hey, I like this venue better than the other. All right, I'll give you a hint. You got Keswick, King, Castle Hill, and Veritas watching right now. All favorites. No, and I mean that quite honestly, because here's the thing. If you photograph at the same place every time, your pictures are going to look the same every time. Every venue has found a way to differentiate themselves and make it something fun. So I literally photograph at all those venues probably 2 to 3 times a year, and that doesn't seem like much, but for me, if you take all the different venues and I'm there a few times a year, that's a lot. So Keswick Vineyards, obviously beautiful with the fountain. I've done the unicorn sessions there. I'm very friendly with the family. Love the fountain, love the outdoor aspect of it. King Family with the mountains, the vineyard, the horses, like all of that. The Veritas. I want to bring golf cart there and go everywhere around there. There's so many different places that you can go around Veritas. Castle Hill. We've done unicorn sessions there too. I was just there photographing a wedding. We did the most amazing send-off where we got 2 cases of champagne, and the guests got to shake up the bottles and do a champagne shower send-off for the brides. It was amazing. So all of the venues, Mount Ida, Pippin Hill, obviously a lot more that to be named. Early Mountain, I was just there. Lots of venues around here that I love. So I think most people would say the same. There's always something about each venue that you have to love.
I learned this from you either the last time we hung out or the time before that. The adrenaline that goes into shooting a wedding from start to finish, and how you're riding this adrenaline momentum for what could be like a 12-hour day. And then when it's done, how the crash happens because the adrenaline is now going at. Can you even try to put that in perspective for all those that are watching? Because I don't even think folks even have considered this when it comes to photography.
Yeah. Man, so as a wedding photographer, what I do is I have a certain amount of energy that is to match or mimic. I'm very much somebody who likes to mimic or match the people around me. An example, if you're from New York, I'm going to have a little bit of a New York attitude. If you're from the South, that New York attitude doesn't work, so we're going to be a little bit more Southern, right? So that is to say that when I am photographing, I take on the energy, and there's a lot of energy at a wedding. And so all that adrenaline from the very beginning of photographing details through the first look, and then the the ceremony, and then, into family pictures and dancing. There's a lot. The only time I stop during a wedding day is to have dinner, and usually that's just a little bit of time, and then you have dancing. And I'm always looking to be creative and do something new. And it doesn't matter if I've photographed 1 or 400 weddings. The fact is, I want to always I have my staples that people know me for, but I always want to keep pushing to be doing something new, and that takes a lot. So usually, even after a wedding, I come back. Let's say the wedding ends at 11 or 12. This past weekend it ended at 12. I got back home at 1. I'm downloading pictures. I didn't get to bed till 3 in the morning. And I could do that because I knew I didn't have a wedding the next day. And my wife was very generous. I usually wake up with our son every morning. So she was very generous and let me sleep in a little bit. That's a lot. That's why I only do a certain amount of double weddings, because then you have to have that energy through the full 2 days. And it's amazing. It's quite an experience. It's I hear about like performers on stage, like they get a rush off of the crowd, like I get a rush off of the weddings.
That's awesome. All right, final question, and this is a question from one of our viewers. This is from TD, and you can go anywhere you want on this one. He says, ask your guests, ask Aaron what his take is on Albemarle and Charlottesville limiting or imposing more restrictions than what the governor is doing. And he says it seems like these enhanced restrictions are really hindering our business community, and we're all just trying to get back on our feet. What does Aaron think about the enhanced restrictions from the Board of Supervisors and the City of Charlottesville, and whether they're restricting or for the good when it comes to the wedding industry?
So specifically, I believe the wedding industry was left out of that. Those restrictions specifically say that it doesn't affect weddings because they're considering it a religious event. So I haven't seen it be an issue. Honestly, from my perspective of what I've seen, I personally have not seen it be much different, because I think people are they're the ones self-selecting themselves as far as not being comfortable going or whatnot. So even if, you could have a 200-person wedding, there's no wedding right now that I've known that's like that many guests are willing to show up. I think it's obviously affecting other small businesses, a lot of food and beverage and restaurants. But again, I think at this point in time, what I'm seeing is that most people are doing a great job self-selecting as far as whether they feel comfortable going out or not. So whether the county is doing any regulations, I thought there was going to be more of a fallout from it, but I haven't personally seen it become a huge issue. But I'm one of the people that's not really out there going to the bars or going and doing things. So I'm not aware of it.
Fair take. Okay, we'll close on this. Claire Francis, Aaron Watson is one of the absolute best. Kat Schoenberg Bernard is watching, one of the best photographers and people we know. Plus, he has an amazing wife and the cutest little boy. Neil Williamson, weddings, and he is backing up with what you said. Weddings are excluded from the regulations. They are still under the crowd limitations in the regular ordinance, which is 200 guests, but they fall under religious ceremonies, which is what you said right there. Dude, you're a natural at this. You killed it. Thank you, my friend, for joining us.
Yes. Yeah, Jerry, thank you so much, and yeah, thanks for all the wonderful wishes from everybody and the kind words. I really do appreciate it.
All right, you have a good one. I'll see you around the block.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Aaron Watson, boys and girls. We will get to your comments here. Put your comments in the comments section. Your comments in the comments section on any social platform. We'll relay them on air. We have a fair amount of comments we got to get to. We will get to your comments here. Before we do, a couple more items out of the notebook that I need to get to. The stimulus checks. Whether or not the Democrats and the Republicans can agree, it seems like they're getting closer and closer, and a second round of $1,200 stimulus checks are likely if a deal can go through. $1,200 for adults, mom and dad, under a certain income threshold, $500 for kids. We'll see if the Democrats and the Republicans can bridge the aisle. But this stimulus money, I think, would be a much-needed little, light the fire with the economy as we head into the Christmas retail season, where I really hope Q4 is gangbusters. I really hope with the holidays and people getting more accustomed to wearing masks and social distancing, I really hope the end of Q4 is going to go bananas, because we need some of that consumer confidence and some of that, that holiday spending to potentially offset these colder months where flu season starts and a number of restaurants are concerned what's going to happen to their outside patio seating. For those that are watching that are in Albemarle County, Neil brought this to our attention, Williamson, yesterday or the day before. You have till the end of the week. Is that right, Neil? Close of business Friday to get the grant money for Albemarle County. If you're looking for some tenting and some air and some heat for your outside tent if you're a restaurant. Close of business Friday, I believe, for that grant money. So we'll follow the stimulus checks as they potentially trickle back out to Americans and potentially stimulate the economy going into Q4. Next headline, Judah, is from the Virginia football team. Guys, there's a guy by the name of Lavelle Davis Jr., who's a freshman, that is a matchup nightmare. This dude is 6'7". He had 2 touchdown catches in his college debut. He had another phenomenal catch overturned by the referees. He was instrumental along with Tony, the 6'7" tight end transfer, instrumental in helping our inexperienced first-year quarterback, starter from a starting standpoint, and Armstrong gained confidence as the game progressed against Duke. Watch out for Lavelle Davis at 6'7" with good hands and a physical specimen. He is a beast on the football field. He reminds me of a bigger, taller, rangier Fontel Mines. If you remember, Fontel Mines played wide receiver at UVA, and he was so big and was able to put weight on his frame. When he played for the Chicago Bears, Fontel Mines in the National Football League, he actually switched from wide receiver to tight end. Lavelle reminds me of a rangier, taller, faster, longer Fontel Mines, if that name brings back memories. One item out of the NFL notebook, and then I'm going to get to your comments here on the program. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Tennessee Titans, the matchup that was originally scheduled for this Sunday, but postponed because of a COVID outbreak with the Tennessee Titans. The NFL said yesterday that matchup would be played Monday or Tuesday. They're now saying it's going to be weeks before this matchup is made up. Tennessee and Pittsburgh, 2 of the NFL's undefeated teams. We will follow that closely when that game is rescheduled. Get your comments in now. We will relay your comments in a matter of moments. Anything you want to cover, whether it's the city manager, Dairy Market, Dairy Central, whether it's Ix Art Park and the unofficial city market becoming now the official city market, put those comments in the comment section and we will relay them on screen. Judah, if we can, on air, if we can give some love to Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Dr. Wagner changing people's lives through chiropractic care, sports medicine, and physical therapy. Scott Wagner has your back. Who's got your back? Dr. Wagner's got your back. Also, let the folks know how they can save $288 on Ting Fiber Internet. Ting powers this show. It's the best internet by far in the area. We are offering it at the lowest price point that Ting offers, and it's only through ilovecville.ting.com. Only through that link, ilovecville.ting.com. Once you get on this internet, you're going to be like, good night. Why haven't I been on this internet the whole time? You just don't have like the buffering and loading issues, or if your kids are on Netflix or on a tablet or a computer screen upstairs and you're trying to do a Zoom call, you don't have to sprint downstairs and say, everybody get off the internet. I'm talking to my boss or a business or a client. Because you don't have the bandwidth. You just don't have those issues with Ting. ilovecville.ting.com. All right, let's get to comments. Thank you, Neil. He says, the Albemarle grant can be used to pay for or reimburse businesses if you purchase or have to purchase stuff to expand your outside seating. Good stuff, Neil Williamson. Free Enterprise Forum. Free. It's money that they're offering. You have till the end of the week to get the money. So if you're a restaurant in Albemarle County and you're not sure how you're going to make it through winter, and you have the opportunity to get a tent up, maybe it's in a parking lot, or maybe it's an expanded patio or some outside seating, go through Albemarle County and get the grant money. Okay? Get the grant money from Albemarle County and expand your outside seating. All right, more comments coming in. Scott Aaronworth says, we watched the show for you, Jerry. Thank you, my friend. He also says, give a shout out to Jamie Schwartz. Amen. Jamie Schwartz, if you're watching, I'm going to tag Jamie Schwartz. Someone tag Jamie Schwartz. Send Jamie Schwartz a text message now. Give her a tag in the feed. Jamie Schwartz recently had surgery, and she's come out of surgery A-okay. But we're giving you some props. I'm typing it right now. We're giving you props right now for a speedy recovery, my friend. Scott Aaronworth, I appreciate that. Speedy recovery for you, Jamie Schwartz. Jamie and Kelly Jackson, the co-stars of Women Changing Our World, Mondays at 10:15 on the I Love CVille Network. And I believe they have Debbie Ryan this Monday. Is that right, Judah?
Yes, it is.
Debbie Ryan, Virginia women's basketball coach, Hall of Famer, is on Women Changing Our World, 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille Network. Coach Ryan, this Monday, 10:15 a.m. on Women Changing Our World. More comments coming in. Holly Wheeler Allen says, any idea who to contact at Ix if I want to be a vendor on Saturdays? Holly, I'm going to respond to your post right now. You should contact Brian Weimer or Susan Critchell. Susan, I'm going to get your name right one of these times. They are the contacts. Holly, I'm responding. Holly, hey, you should contact Brian Weimer or Susan Critchell. And I tag them both for you there on the stream. If you want your merchant vendor tent set up at the Saturday market, I think it would be worth your while, Holly. It's a great spot. Christelle gave some props to Aaron. We read that on air, and congrats on the new addition to the family. Kelly says this, will people even be shopping locally for the holidays or just online? If not, this will really hurt small businesses and restaurants. I think, and that's why I'm emphasizing the holiday festivities around downtown, around Midtown, around Preston, around the corner. I think people will still shop locally. I think it's important that City Hall and our city leadership and our county leadership figure out, much like the Downtown Business Association, figure out some safe and social distance ways to welcome the holidays in, because we got to get people downtown. That's why I emphasize the That's why I emphasize the need for a outdoor kind of beer garden downtown. Utilize the outside space. Figure out creative and innovative ways to drive incremental revenue for the city of Charlottesville. Why not have a kiosk set up on the downtown mall that's managed by a $10, $12, $13 an hour employee from the city of Charlottesville? And this particular kiosk offers wristbands and plastic cups. You go to the kiosk, you show them your ID, you show that you're 21 years old, you get a wrist bracelet and a plastic cup, and this plastic cup and wrist bracelet, you pay for it, maybe it's $5, the city keeps that $5, and then you take this plastic cup and this wrist bracelet, and you go to the Whiskey Jars, the Citizen Burger Bars, the Bebederos, the Petit Pois, the Zocalo restaurants in the downtown mall, and you're able to fill up your cocktail, your wine, or your beer in this cup, and you're able to walk it from the Omni to the Pavilion. Think about what you've done there. You've created a profit center, the $5 for the bracelet and the cup that the city can keep, and this profit center is going to close the gap during a budget deficit. You are driving business to restaurants and to shops on the downtown mall. Guess what? The city gets a piece of the back end through the food and beverage, the retail taxes. They get a piece of every transaction. The merchants are then happy with the city because the merchants realize that the city is working on their behalf to create a small and medium-sized business ecosystem, right? This is called innovation, creativity. This is literally what I have to do every day when I walk into my building downtown. I have to create or innovate or think outside the box to feed our team members and make sure they're getting 10% raises every year. Okay? This is not what we're seeing from downtown, from leadership. Instead, what we're seeing is fear. They're operating with a mindset of fear. And that mindset of fear is limiting their innovation. You can be innovative and still safe. You can be creative and still mindful of COVID. You can be entrepreneurial and still do it safe and socially distanced with a mask on. Why are we not taking advantage of the open space that is the downtown mall and encouraging patrons to walk and enjoy their beverage or their nosh while walking downtown from the Pavilion to the Omni? That is what we need. That is not what we're getting. James Watson has a comment. This is on the city manager hire. James Watson, I love when he watches this show. Where's my sandal? I took my shoe off here. All right, my sandal's back on. He said, Jerry, when you're hiring a CEO with the unique skills of managing a city, you have to expand your talent pool beyond Charlottesville. The man they chose was highly qualified and talented, PhD from VCU. Just as your show is broadcast via technology worldwide, you have to do the same for recruiting talent. It's just modern business. We are just an outlier for a city this size to have so much turnover at our executive positions. I agree, James, with your statement. I also disagree with the statement. And here's where I agree. Where I agree is I very much respect and appreciate a competitive applicant pool and having the most qualified candidates possible to run our city. I understand that being a city manager is a nuanced position where you're as much an administrator as you are a leader, as you're someone who's helping create and mold policy, and as someone who's in charge with the $200 million budget that the city runs upon. So it's many layers to the city manager onion. Where I disagree respectfully, and this is two friends having a conversation, where I respectfully disagree is I think where we are at in Charlottesville, still freshly recovering from August 12th, still very much struggling with our history in our city that certainly has very many racist elements in our history, still very much struggling with what the identity of CVille is in this 2020, 2021 world, still struggling with the identity of being a city in the shadow of the University of Virginia to the point we call it the city of UVA, not the city of Charlottesville. Still very much struggling with creating a sense of an even playing field with folks that are white, black, Puerto Rican, Haitian, whatever it may be. I cut to the chase often on this show. Charlottesville, if it's not careful, will be a playground and a bastion for white and wealthy people. Okay? That's not what we want for Charlottesville. But that's the direction we're heading because of what we're seeing with massive technology companies that are hiring from outside the area and bringing that talent to Charlottesville, driving up the cost of living. So with a city that is at such a important crossroads in its history, that comes to taking down statues. I mean, I'm reading in the newspaper that we're struggling with what we're going to do with the Sacagawea and Lewis and Clark statues on West Main Street, and where those are going to be placed or rehomed, or the future of this statue with the West Main Streetscape project. So the reason I bring this up is for the following reasons. We're at a budget deficit. We have schools that are hemorrhaging money because parents are pulling kids out of public schools, and enrollment is a direct tie with how much money the schools get from the state. We have a very open wound that has not healed. That is the events of August 12, 2017. It's still very raw and open. We still got the statues here, right? We still have the statues here. We have a 16-month POP, proof of performance, 16 months that was Dr. Richardson's tenure, and this is a safe statement. It was a tumultuous, rocky road of a tenure. Today, we are paying Dr. Richardson, John Blair, and Mike Murphy, 3 men, money because they were the city manager at one point. So maybe it's time for us to do things a little bit differently than we've had in the past. Like, what's the saying, Judah? Fool me once.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So when we don't have enough money for our schools, when we're needing grant money from the governor for our firefighters, when we're paying 3 men to be a city manager literally today, when we're forgiving Maurice Jones, the city manager 4 times ago, when we're forgiving Mo Jones's loan for higher education and not even asking him to pay back the loan in totality, when we're having massive turnover within City Hall and a deficit that we're not going to overcome anytime soon, certainly not because of the impact of COVID, maybe we need to think differently. I've brought his name up before, and it's just an idea. Dave Norris would make a phenomenal city manager. Dave Norris was a city councilor. Dave Norris was the mayor of Charlottesville. Dave Norris was a critical component in negotiating the Charlottesville parking wars that pit multimillionaire Mark Brown against the city of Charlottesville to the point where lawsuits and $600-700 an hour lawyers were being retained by Charlottesville to fight a man with tremendous resources over a parking lot battle. Dave Norris was instrumental in creating a truce and an agreement with the Charlottesville parking wars. Dave Norris is now a champion for affordable housing. So, just off the top of my head, you got a guy that was an elected official. You got a guy that was a mayor, arguably one of the last great mayors Charlottesville's had. You got a guy that was the executive director of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Blue Ridge. You got a guy who was the general manager of the Charlottesville Parking Center. You got a guy who was the executive director of Patcham, associate director of Madison House, interim director of the Public Housing Association of Residents, former chairman of the Charlottesville Redevelopment and Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. I mean, you got a guy right here that understands the city of Charlottesville better than anybody from outside the community ever will. And he won't come at a $200,000 a year clip, and you won't need a third-party hiring firm that we're going to give tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars to create a short list of people who, frankly, don't even know our town. I mean, it just seems like common sense to me. You know how I run my businesses? We have, how many LLCs are over there on that wall, Judah? Let's go to the Judah Cam. The one in the center is the trademark from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. How many LLCs over there? Let's put you on the Judah Cam. You see 7, is that right?
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
7 S-Corp, single-member LLCs, all owned by an umbrella business, an umbrella LLC, for some corporate protection for its owner. This is what I do with mine. I go in, whatever it's the real estate, the network, the advertising agency, and I think, how can we do the best we can while maintaining the lowest overhead and cash out of pocket possible? How do we run the businesses with the fattest margin possible while also leaving our footprint in a better place than when we first arrived, being a social entrepreneur or a conscious capitalist? That's how I run mine. And it's 12 years and change. I mean, it's been proven successful. Instead, I see people choosing to throw good money after bad money, is the saying. The bad money was third-party search consulting firm, get us a short list of candidates, settle on someone from Texas. He lasts 16 months, and we kick him $200,000+ to chill for the next year and find another job. Give him health insurance for the entire year as well. The good money is doing the exact same thing. Doing the exact same damn thing. Oh, frustrating. Frustrating. Patty Zeller. We have a great shopping opportunities at Animal Connection for the holiday term. I can agree with that. For local dog and cat owners. We do FaceTime shopping for people who aren't comfortable coming in, but our store is laid out so safe. We have early holiday shopping events planned too, and free same-day delivery service for all products. Definitely shop local and support Charlottesville businesses. Amen. Patty, I'm going to give you instead of a like, I'm going to give you a heart. Animal Connection at X Park is the real freaking deal. There's 3 merchants that are doing retail extremely well, experiential. And it's the Virginia Shop at Tiffany Smith, Patty Zeller at Animal Connection, and Monique Moshier at The Happy Cook. James Watson, is there a guarantee Mr. Norris will take that opportunity? Great man, but if he's not interested, you have to do a national search because most people with these unique skills are already working in private industry. I think it's a fair point, James. I think we should ask him. Dave Norris. Someone tag Dave Norris in the feed. All right, I'm going to tag him right now. Dave Norris, we are giving you props right now and suggesting your name for the open city manager position. Period. Enter. I just sent it. That way Dave is on the feed. Dave, are you watching? Someone let me know if Dave Norris. Someone text Dave Norris. I just tagged him on the feed. Get Dave Norris watching here. So James brings up a good point. Would Mr. Norris be interested in this? Dave, if city council approached you and said, are you interested in being the CEO, the city manager of the city of Charlottesville, Dave, would you be open-minded to taking this position? Let us know. The Dave Norris I know bleeds CVille. And the Dave Norris I know would chomp at the bit to help this community. I mean, and he's proven it. City councilor, mayor, affordable housing advocate, parking wars truce peacemaker. Carol Thorpe. Jerry, the activist class in Charlottesville burned Dave Norris in effigy when he was mayor. I don't know how happy they'd be welcoming him back. Also, can he meet the educational requirements of the city manager position, or would we have to pay to put him through school as we did Maurice Jones? Pay him to put him through school as we did Maurice Jones is a good question. That is a good question, Carol Thorpe. I think the activist community, since Dave has spent years now since he's gotten off council being a champion for affordable housing, I think the activist community and our African American community in Charlottesville 100% has Dave's back. The educational requirements is a good question, Carol Thorpe. But we paid for Mo Jones to go get higher education. I think it's time for some creative thought. Oh, man. That's the show. That's the I Love CVille show. We love you guys. We'll be back here at 10:15 a.m. tomorrow with Real Talk with Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman. 12:30, we have an entrepreneur on the show and Marty Phipps. Vanessa Parkhill helped set up this interview. Vanessa Parkhill, if you're watching, thank you, Vanessa. Marty Phipps is a business owner. He's the owner of Old Dominion Hemp. He's got a lot of different verticals for his hemp business. We'll talk about the evolution of that. We'll follow up on some of the items we covered today on the I Love CVille show. Neil Williamson is enjoying the discussion. Neil, I can't wait for you to come on the program. And he just put a link into the finalists for the city manager position from last time. You had a Powhatan County administrator and Theodore Voorhees. He was one of the finalists. You had Dr. Richardson from DeSoto, Texas. And then Michael Malinoff, Charles County, Maryland County Administrator. So boys and girls, the finalists, thank you, Neil Williamson. The finalists for the last city manager position. The three people that were on the short list from the search firm in Tallahassee, Florida. 3 people, all men, were on the short list. 2 of the 3 on the short list were not city managers at their respective municipalities. Only Dr. Richardson was the city manager at DeSoto, Texas. The other 2, Theodore Voorhees was a Powhatan County administrator, and Charles County Administrator Michael Malinoff was the other on the short list. So only one of the 3 was an actual city manager. Ay, 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 ¿qué pasa en Charlottesville? Carajo, coño. Thank you for joining us. You guys have a good one. Take care.